Hello and welcome back. When it comes to logistics in Satisfactory, the largest amount of resources are produced at the bottom of the production chain. This is things like ingots or low-tier resources, which is why in my last episode we built this 23,000 iron ingot smeltery. But today I'm going to be turning all of these into plates and rods so that we can ship all of these resources by train to other facilities, saving much needed time by focusing only on later item tiers. The only issue is that this build is becoming far too big to the point that it'll break the game. But don't worry, there's a solution for that. So today the plan is to build a facility that'll manufacture and ship basic iron whilst also considering the space requirements for our copper and Caterian smeltery, which will no doubt triple the size of our already large smeltery. And of course, in order to ensure basic resource production continues, we'll also need to develop some kind of belt compressor, and more importantly, one that will scale to a factory of this size. Once that's sorted, we'll sort out and design a facility that can produce 6,000 iron plates and 7,000 iron rods per minute before sending the rest to become another essential item. Now this is all part of the Giga Smeltery project, and it will be the first facility to trial our new logistics system that we covered a couple of episodes ago. So on top of the facility, we're also going to need to ensure we can maintain production speeds by working backups into the production until it's ready to ship off to the actual facilities. So let's get started. Eventually, the plan will be to connect all of these to each of the facilities, so we'd have a walkway through to the other areas as well. But today we are going to be getting started with producing our iron plates and rods from all of this. And before we do that, we need to sort out our train line. So if we come out here, have a nice little walk across. This is where our iron plates and rods will run along to the train stations, as we covered. But we didn't cover how we're going to get these trains back onto the line. And at the moment, I think the best thing going would be, you see this little T-junction over there. If we just continue a straight line across to here, and we add the same amount of curves as that side, the plan, fingers crossed, is that they will align perfectly and we'll be able to merge straight back onto a T-junction, so we don't need to do a full semicircle. So let's just delete this section, and then we'll bring the other line over and hopefully merge it to the T-junction. And that is looking a touch too far along, but I suppose we could nudge it to here. Yeah, let's just connect these up and see what happens. You know what? I had nothing to worry about. Look at that. That has run across perfectly from the other side. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So the next thing, now that we've done this, other than obviously add the signals, is actually to get started on the build itself, because these are already ready to be connected up to the actual resources, and then we just need to send them off. And we'll probably build some kind of train station nearby, maybe down, I think that'd be a bit too close. Maybe we could actually build it off this little junction here, just a sinking station, so that we can sink any resources that we receive, just so that we know that it's running efficiently. This is gonna look nice. Okay, so the blueprint that we're going to be doing needs to be able to take a full line of resources and change that into something else. So the plan at the moment would be to do 6 lines each. So if we grab our constructor, and let's just stick it here for reference, we want 6 full lines of iron ingots for iron plates, and the same for rods. So if we just grab that, and we can see that if we want a full line of 780 resources and we divide that by 15, that gives us 52 constructors. And if we were to do that on these, it's going to be half of that, 26. So we want a blueprint that can fit ideally pretty easily between, what, 26. And we can fit 10. Wait, if we doubled this up, so if we did 52, we could do 5 of these blueprints because we can fit 5 constructors in a line, such as that, except we'll put it on foundations, and then we'll do 5 above. So that would be 10. That would mean that we could do 5 of these in a line. That would be 50, and then we just overclock 2 of them to add up to the 52. And because the constructors are half the amount, we could just do double the amount and run an extra line there. Now I think we're going to start off with a little base floor. This is going to be for our logistics, and then we're going to have a walkway through, and that way we could have all of our resources fed in from this line, but also sent off from this line as well. And we know that with these, you're going to need a splitter in the center of each of these, and then a merger, and we'll do the merger in the same direction. Now, by keeping this floor empty, we can decorate it, we can just add a little bit of detail to it, but we'll have it mainly open. So the only thing we need to worry about is the resources going up and down. Quite like that grey actually. Maybe we could add some of these lights. We could just run these all the way along to where the elevators will be. Let's also run our belt all the way along. Now what we could do is use the auto align blueprint mode, and to do that we would need a conveyor on the end, but because we're going to be taking some resources off and bringing more on in certain points, we're not going to do that for this because it's just going to overcomplicate. But the idea with this is each of these is going to feed 2 constructors. Let's just grab a floor hole. I'm going to place that on the edge there, and we'll do the same for this side. And then we're going to connect these to the splitter, like so. Now we can fill this in with our small pillars. You know what? I think we're going to need an extra foundation. Just feels quite cramped. Ah, that's much better. And then we have these, and I'm going to nudge that as well. So we're kind of gating these off from actually anyone who's walking down. Next, let's set it up so that we can see how it will be with all the constructors. And the great thing about this is because we've got the numbers to work out well, we can do this as a iron plate blueprint, and then we can put this back into the blueprint designer and change the recipe to iron rods and save it again, and then we can just use that for the iron rods. Now this section is going to be our walkway. Oh no, yeah, I mean we'll be able to walk through it, but we might have the walkway on this side. Let's just go with that for now. We're going to place all of these. Okay, yeah, I like that. The only thing is I want to now repeat this on this side as well, which is fine, we can do that. The middle floor will have to go down here. The closest to the middle output on the splitter and also on the merger are going to be the ones taking all the resources to and from the middle floor's row of constructors. And then on the one above, we will take the resources from the outside. For the next floor, I want to give them enough space so that the light doesn't poke through the next floor. And we'll paint these normal concrete so that we can actually see the second floor above. And these can then be placed in the exact same position. Saying that, I don't like the foot being over the edge. So I think we're gonna have to push these back by 1, which doesn't really matter in all fairness because they are being fed from the back line. Now we just need to make sure that our holes align on both floors. So at this point, all we have to do really is a little bit of decoration. So we'll make sure all of these connect up, and then we'll bring them down from the edge. And that way we can see all the resources trickling either side of the walkway. I think that would look pretty cool when it's running at full capacity. Okay, let's grab ourselves a walkway. Yeah, that looks good. just not sure about this clipping here because I think we're going to see the resources clipping. So we might have to budge this a little bit. So maybe we'll push it out a touch. Anyway, that is going to be the basic concept for this. I'm going to have to do some kind of, I think, concrete pillars across the top so that we can run all of our power. Maybe we can change the material ever so slightly. So these are going to clip together. What if we fill these in so that just the edges stick out? How's that? And that way you won't see anything poking through. It'll probably look quite cool. We can play around with maybe some lighting. Although if we want to use lighting, we're probably going to have to move this forwards. Yeah, give me a few minutes to work out the more nuanced details and then I'll show you. Okay, and here we are. So we did end up adding the lighting underneath, but it did mean I had to shove everything back a little bit. And then in between I've added these. This is actually the rodded blueprint. So I've already done the mirrored version of both now. So these are ready to go, but you can see we've repeated the same kind of system above more or less, with us having a big walkway along, because I think it'll look pretty cool if we have one row of these and then one the opposite way, being able to look down at all of these. We'll probably do some kind of lighting on the ceiling just to focus more light down on the actual logistics section. We're going to be able to walk all the way through here. I think we need to fill this in. A little mistake on my behalf there. And then you can see we've ended up nudging everything just slightly. So we are cutting into here. So we've nudged it over so it's actually on the edge, which has meant we've been able to move this closer in so that it doesn't cut. And then to border each of these, we're using the orange lights. Now, I did say we were going to use orange on smeltery, blue on production, and I haven't done that, but I think it'll look fine regardless. Each of the constructors has their own light. There's also little signs so that we know that it's the rods being produced, and above us, we also have a single light. This is going to light up the walkway and also draw our attention to the beams above. Right, with that out the way though, that does mean that we can start working out where we want this to be. So if we place this up, I think about 5 foundations, that gives us a lot of space, so we're not going to clip into any of this. And we're going to start off with our iron plates. So we're going to want these to head off in this direction, south, and we're going to want to place this in blueprint mode, which should make it quite quick to do, and then we'll connect these up. So we want to make sure that the max resources on any one line is going to be 780, so we'll have to split them later on. And then we also want to make sure that we connect our power, which is just along here. So these 2 floors are connected from, oh no. Ah! No! That's fine. So these 2 sections are connected via this line. So all we need to do is make sure that this set of blueprints is connected from this one across to the next. So they'll all be sharing the same power. We're going to repeat this, and we'll also mirror this over here as well. So that's going to be 30. But we do need 5 of these in a line, and we're going to do it so that this is mirrored as well. So I'll show you once that's set up. So here we are with the second line done, and we've started the third one, and I thought, you know what, we're going to have to start bringing the resources over so that we can trial this. I'm a little bit concerned with these resources because they're coming in at random rates. So for this to work, say we want to have 6 lines of iron plates and 6 lines of iron rods, we need to ensure that we dedicate or prioritize the first line of the plates and the first line of the rods, and then the second and third, so everything's not turning on and off. So that's brought me to the awareness that we need to have some kind of belt prioritizer. Not prioritizer, compressor. That's what we need. And so we're going to try and develop something now with the new priority mergers. We're going to have to work them with the smart splitters as well, which are here. And so my thought at the moment is that if we have the items flowing from, say, 3 lines, let's do it with 3 lines for now. We can actually trial it in a moment, but let's just work out the logic and see if it works. So the resources flow in. So if we're prioritizing this as the first line, we're going to want to have the priority merger, and then the splitter will prioritize this one and then overflow forwards, right? And then it would just follow on down the line like so. And so we've got a full belt, doesn't need anything, so this fills up, that's fine. Then this will fill up. If this is half full, then half of the resources will go into here, and so on, half resources into this one until it's full, and so on and so forth. So that in theory will compress down. So we need to try this now. And if this works as planned, say we have these 3 lines, because this is the first priority line, that would go to our first line of constructors, and then the second one to the second line, which is actually down there because it's the iron plate one, which requires 2 full lines, and so on and so forth. So I've been trialing out the idea, and I realized this wasn't going to work. And the reason for this is it works for 2 lines. So if this line isn't full, this line here will take some of the resources and send it here, or maybe even fill this line up, but only a few resources will follow on through here. And so this one will try to fill up for that one. And it's a trickle-on effect, but it means that only the belt to the right of the splitter, so this one on each line, can be prioritized over the current one. And so what would happen if we had, say, 4 lines? Say this is an empty line, this is a full line, this is a full line, and this is a full line. This line will be filled up from this one, then this one will be filled up from this one, and then this one will also be filled up. If, however, we have an empty, full line, this line, the one that needs to be prioritized, is going to be empty. The second one will be full, and the third one will be full, and the fourth one will be empty. And so we have an issue here where you can't be connected to the lines other than the one to the left. And I tried it with this, and then the exact same thing happened, because if you have all the resources heading in one direction and you add others, what happens here is that if this line is full, this line will be used. But if you have a line further along, bear in mind, we have to consider that the way that we're going to be doing this, I'll show you that in a moment, is we have so many lines. We can't just present a solution that will only solve the issue for the neighboring lines. And so if we have these mergers bringing in the full lines, and then we have, let's say, another one here. This is the prioritizer or compressor, let's call it. And the forward line, this is the one that is most prioritized. So you have a full line go through here, you'll have a full line go out. You have half a line go in and a full line here. You'll have half go in and a full line here. If you have a full line and then 2 empty lines and a full line, what happens is the full line will run to here, and then the next full line will pass on through to here. But it then blocks these 2 from being used from other lines further down the line, because you throttled the whole line down to a single conveyor. And so I've been working on another idea, which we have this, and it's, as you can see, not working as well as I intended. And it's the same issue here, right? So we have a splitter followed by a merger followed by a splitter. We don't need it on this one, but the idea is that if this was a full line and you had resources coming in from further down the line, it's prioritized this section, then these resources could head into this one. But the problem is you can quite clearly see that some lines are getting a lot of resources and then others not so much. Say, for example, this one is being prioritized, so is that one, and then so is this one. And it's because you've got an almost full line going in on one side and heading into this one, and the same with this side, and they kind of balance themselves, which leaves the middle line to receive the most, but it doesn't do what we need it to do, which is prioritize the first, then the second, then the third line. So after spending an hour building this, thinking, oh, it's going to work, and then connecting it, I've realized I've screwed up. But I will work this out. It's only taken me 3 tries so far. I'm sure it's doable. In fact, what might be the case is what if, I don't know. If we start the other end, so we have over here an almost full line, and those are trickling into the line to the right. That works, that's right. If this is the last line, it doesn't need to be prioritized. So in theory, we don't actually need these two. We could just have the line, it's not gonna work now. If we have it go through there, then all of the resources, if we set this up to overflow forwards and then any to the right, and we increase the priority to the left lane, now all of the resources are going into, where are they going? They're going here. Wait, I think we've worked it out. Oh, but we have it, okay, so we have a problem here. The problem is we have a full belt trying to go in, but we have this full belt being prioritized over this one, meaning this is throttled. It's not receiving any items. So what if we repeat this? Yeah, we take a merger. The second priority is the middle lane. So if we do that, these are going through, they're going down here. Oh, I've set all these up wrong for this. So we need any and then overflow forwards. Is that right? So if we take that and we do the same to all of these, and then we take this one, what happens here? So we have all of these flowing down into here, and then this is starting to be used. And I bet if this was, wait, if that was a full line, we just, sorry, you're watching the madness in my mind unfold before your eyes. I do apologize. If this was a full line, then these are going to flow forwards, and then any excess is flowing into here. But we still have the same problem. So what if we expand this? So in this circumstance, if all goes well, big but, this would be the prioritized line, which it currently is. Then this one, this one, this one, and well, those 4 lines. But we need to make sure that we have the resources heading in the first place. So that's going forwards. We've got a second line working now. This is the problem, isn't it? I think we need to prioritize the middle lane and then the left one. So we do that for each of these. Is that working? No. This is going to require a bit more work, I think. Oh, you know what? That might be the issue. We need to connect these up so they can make a connection. Whoa, wait, we've done it. We've done it. Have we done it? Is this just a fluke? So we have a line coming in here. This is full. This one is full. This one is full. Excess is over here. We've done it. Oh, I'm chuffed. So we need a pyramid system. And the reason for it, we just cut to day really quickly. There we go, that's better. You can actually see it's working. Look, we've got an empty line here, and these are prioritized. The issue is each line next in the sequence has to have a way of stepping down into the prioritized line. And so if this was just 2 lines, we'd only need a single splitter and a single merger. If it's 3 lines, yeah, because we don't actually need to use these. It's like a half pyramid. The bottom foundations just needs to be mergers. But then for each line, you need to add a smart splitter. And so we've got 4 or 3 lines, I should say. So we need 3 smart splitters along the base. If it was just 2 lines, then we wouldn't need to worry about that top one. So that would then be down there, and then this line would be down here. Oh, I'm really happy with that. Right, I'm going to delete all of this and try rebuilding it now. I wish this was centralized. It's ever so slightly off, but here we are. This is it. I mean, really, it's working. So let me explain really quickly. We've taken the same concept and then we've done 1 line the way we had just explained. I had to do it into 2 lines. We couldn't do 30 lines of smart splitters and priority mergers because it would have just been too big. And I kept getting the odd conveyor piece incorrectly placed, which meant I had to go back and redo it. So instead we've gone with 2 15 lines, and you can see they are working. We've got 10 full lines worth of resources heading in across all of them, and they are compressing down to the least amount of lines that we need. So you can see we've got 3 full lines and then 1 half or half empty, 3/4 empty line, and then we can see the same there. If we drop down, obviously we have to consider that these haven't fully registered yet. I expect that to go up shortly, but we have 780, 779, which I'm not sure why, that must be a bug. 780, it's just not loading. That should have updated by now, surely. That is definitely a full line. Right, there you go, it's starting to update. 737, yeah, it's gonna go up to 780. So you can see that each of these are full lines. This one's gonna go up next, and then this one, and so on and so forth. But the first one is fully compressed. The same with over there. So say this one will be for plates, that one over there will be for rods. And the great thing about this, providing you're willing to move about some of your logistics, if you wanted to add more lines to this, you absolutely could. It would just be that you add to the end. So you would start here and you would work it along from this point all the way down to the end, expanding the pyramid. And so in theory, it's infinitely expandable if you have the time and the patience to do that. But now that that's done, I think we should get back to the build because we've only done, I don't know, what's that? A quarter of it so far? So if my maths is correct, at this point, once we've done this line, we should be able to get once we do this line, we should be able to... Where's my steel beams gone? Right, there you go. That's a little bit better. If I get rid of all of these, we can now grab them and hopefully continue this. So once we've done this particular line, we can get started on the rods. Noticed a little bit of pausing when I'm building all these blueprints. It's starting to take its toll on the build, although I do need to get some more steel beams. So let's connect all the power whilst we're waiting for some more resources. Okay, so we've now got all 4 of these lines. Oh, I still need to connect the cable up over there. But I've started prepping the resources to be brought in. So we have all 8 belts for our iron plates, and I've just started setting up a belt compressor again because it occurred to me that though we'll be receiving the compressed line of resources and say that the prioritized line will be here and here, we can't guarantee that we will have, say, this one line full because it's dependent on 2 lines. So as such, I have started setting up another belt compressor. This is really my fault for not thinking about doing this prior to bringing all the iron into the facility. Had we done that, it would work much better. But because we didn't, I am suffering it now, and I'm going to be no doubt having several belt compressors throughout the facility. Right, so I just need to connect these up together, like so. And then run these all together, and this is where they will then connect to the train station. So we've got all of our lines, and all of these are going to head all the way along to the the second train station, sorry. So we're going to have to flip these around. We just need to turn it on and see what happens. So I will start off removing these, and look at this. Oh, I love it. We're going to need to find a way of actually walking up and down the build though. That's cool. What is that? Wait, what is that? Is that the feet? I think it is. Wait a second. Is it that? Is that in the blueprint? No. Yeah, that's a bug. Oh, wonderful. Oh wait, that's the wrong way around. Yeah, they're not there. Why? Oh, I don't know. I don't know with this game sometimes. Anyway, the important thing is that it looks pretty cool and it's all turning on, which means we can get started once I hook the rest of this up to do the rods. I'm just going to pretend that wasn't an issue. It's a feature. I still haven't worked out what was going on with the constructors. It's still happening, but the important thing is we have now got all 8 lines running of iron plates, and they're being sent to the train station, as you can see here, and that's going currently to this one, and then this is going to take us to our little station where we're just syncing everything. This is really important for us because we need to maintain production at full capacity to make sure that everything is running. And then we need to, in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're syncing all of our resources until they're ready to be used. And even if we are using them in the facility, we will probably have at the end of the line of stations that this train's sustaining, providing resources for, we'll probably have a resource sync station, just so that when it returns back to the facility, it's going to fill up the carts. But here we go, we have a single station here, and all this is doing is taking the resources and sending them immediately to the sink. It's actually works out really well because the sink's outputs are exactly an awesome sink's distance apart. So it was really quick and simple to set up. And then once we have the second one up and running, we will send that behind here as well. So with that done, we can start working on the rods. There's only been one downside to doing this, and that is, as you can see there, it's really starting to pay a price on my PC, because every time we click it, we've got to wait a few seconds for the actual blueprints to be placed. But as long as we don't crash, I guess there's no problem. We just need to make sure that we're regularly saving. But it's going to look so good. I've ended up replacing the blueprint that was here and flipping it, just so that we have this big little space. I think we should have a glass roof above this. And this also separates the rods from the plates as well. But you can see we're getting these across at the moment. And I'm just going to power these up. There we go. This is 2 of, I think we need to do another 4 lines. I was right about the crashing though. We ended up crashing about 20 minutes ago. So I'm glad we did make those saves. Otherwise, I'd be redoing all of this right now. And we're gonna need another line here. It really doesn't like me looking at, like, placing all these blueprints. And I don't blame it at all. It's just, there we go. It's just, it is struggling. Oh. Speak of the devil. So we've just crashed, and I can actually see the issue. So we have managed to break the game. So if you didn't know already, there is a max item limit that you can reach in the game, and if you surpass that, the game crashes. It's the Unreal Object limit, and it's set at something like 2.6 million objects. So we've surpassed that in our save, and the good news is that we can up this limit by adjusting the config file, The bad news is that we run the risk of crashing more. So we're going to do that really quickly and then just restart it up again. It should be fine. The sun is glistening on our facility, but we have a problem. We have a big problem. We've now set up the whole facility. And you can see there are resources going in, but they keep stopping. And the reason for that is that we can't handle the sheer throughput of resources. There's just too much. It's filling our train stations up faster than we can get rid of them. Rid of the resources, which means we're going to have to like expand on this. We're going to need to double that up. I think that is the first the first thing that we can do to resolve that. Second thing is maybe add some more awesome sinks in as backup. We only have a single one at the moment on the excess line there. I don't know why I decided to do an extra line of rods. Fun fact, no idea why. So it's just sitting there on its own, on its lonesome, poor thing, being sunk for no reason. Anyway, rather than worry about all of this just yet, let's look at the bigger picture. We need to finish designing this because it is a beautiful monstrosity of industrial might. I just love it. I think it's great. But we do need to start making it look more like a build rather than this machine that is churning resources that we can't handle right now. So the best thing that we can do at this point, rather than madly try and fix our throughput lines so that we can sink the resources and get everything running, would be actually to start decorating this and providing it with some supports. So for this build, I am about to start doing the foundations to this, but there was one important thing that I kind of thought of. The astute among you may have noticed that we have only 17 lines of resources going towards this facility. We have 30 lines to deal with. This is part of the reason why everything is backed up, because I haven't planned for the other, 13 lines full of resources when it's running at max capacity. And then it hit me. Hang on. That isn't right. Why was there just a single item? Wait, there's more! Huh? What is this? What is this witchcraft? I need to speak to someone about that. What? That isn't right. That's wrong. They're full lines. Either my compressor design is wrong, and I don't think it is, or there is a bug in the game, and we're gonna hunt it down. By we, I mean I'm going to send a very kind message asking why is this happening to CSS. But anyway, back to the resources. We're producing iron here. The next step up of basic items, aside from copper, hear me out, and concrete, would be steel. So what if, with those 13 lines of iron ingots, how much would that be at full capacity? 13 times 780, that's 10,140 iron ingots. What if we made steel ingots? Because we have the solid steel ingot recipe, and we can turn 2 iron ingots into 3 steel using coal. So that would mean 780 times 13 divided by 2. I think I'm just going about this the long way around. We can make 15,000 steel ingots from that. That sounds pretty cool. I think we're going to do that. That does mean, though, that we have a few more concerns to deal with. The first one being, we're going to need to bring coal up to here. Don't worry, we'll do this in the next episode, I think. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be the next one. And on top of the coal, we'll need to bring concrete because we'll probably do the encased industrial beams, which means this facility that is already friggin' massive, that was only going to be producing iron, basic copper items, and caterium, is now going to be producing steel and concrete, as well as copper and the iron. I don't know if we'll do caterium, honestly. Thinking about it, maybe. We'll see. It'll probably be Katerin, let's be honest. This is going to be humongous. I didn't set out to make this build this big. I don't know what's come of me, but it's going to be big. I've also had a really cool idea. Seeing as we have the iron resources coming along these two stations, what if, and it might just work, we run the steel resources along this line that tunnels under the facility. I hope we've got enough room for that. Makes it to the other side, and then from there picks up the steel. That would also mean that what we have as the Katerium train stations for now probably needs to become the coal stations. So the coal would be dropped off, where we could run it along this line through here to the steel facility, which will, I guess, be over there by the estuary. Okay, let's do it. Let's do that in the next episode. Anyway, where to start with this? We're going to want to block this all out. And we can start off just with filling in the space here. But one thing that I do want to think about is how the design is going to look on the front side to the facility, which will actually be this side looking in. And so I was thinking maybe we could do something with lighting perhaps behind here. So if we play around with the depth like this, we can run this all the way along, filling out the bottom. That's going to make it quite simple to set up. And then we play around with the decoration for, say, the window or front wall design, with a focus also being on these resources. The plan would be to have some kind of lighting, a bit like we did over on the smeltery. So we could do maybe something along the lines of this with orange, something a bit like that, all the way along for each of these sections of elevators, just to bring the attention to where the resources are coming in. I think that could look pretty good. I'm also going to, alongside all of this, we've got a elevator going up, so I think we should have an entrance to the elevator from inside here, and it might be really nice to run a walkway over the top of all of this, because when it's running it might look pretty cool. So those are currently my ideas in mind at the moment, and then once we've got this kind of blocking done, we'll start to look at the overall skeletal of the build. So we'll start building up the walls either side and start playing around with the ceiling design. So along with blocking the base, I also added some awesome sinks which seem to have fixed the issue for now. So the resources that we will eventually send to the iron, solid steel facility. I think it's solid steel, it might not be. But anyway, we've attached these and that cleared the backlog, and now everything's just running more or less as intended. You can see we've still got a little bit of stuttering online, and as soon as we expand on that, it'll all be fine. But along here you can see I've added all of these. I stopped at this point because this is a little bit of a mess. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We might have to just play around with the half foundations there. But the next thing to do, now that we've blocked out the bottom section here, would be to start working on the skeletal frame of the build. And one such section that I really want to focus on is actually just over here. So at the moment, it's looking pretty plain. That's not a bad thing. Let me just grab some power briefly while we do this. And so what I wanted to do here was to play around with the shape just a touch, because I'm worried it looks too square. So the plan, given that these are on the same horizontal axis, what I can do, if I grab my painted beam and then press freeform mode by holding R, I can then pull this all the way across to this edge here. And if I'm looking dead on it, it's going to align up with this piece. And so if I do the same and we go back, these should be aligned, as you can see here. This will now allow me to nudge 4 meters in and 4 meters to the side to create a diagonal jut out of the side. And we'll use this as a kind of glass ceiling area to bring in a touch of light, but also to break up the shape so it's not just this singular straight build. And we do the same from the other side as well. And like this, we'll be able to merge these together. If you don't like the Z fighting, there's not really much that you see, but if you're seeing something like that, we can just do something like that, and it'll be, wow, not even noticeable. And then we can build this up, and we'll do the same here. And then from this point, we'll grab our 1 meter foundation and run it in this direction. And we'll do the same on this piece as well. And then the next thing we want to do is sort out the roofing. Thinking about it, this should have been higher. Well, I'll show you what I mean, and then I'll tear it down and redo it. The only bit that I need to tear down is these 2 lines, because we'll just bring it up to the right height here. What we can then do is grab something like our roofs here. Now, if you hold E and you have this unlocked in the Awesome Shop, you'll actually have flat roofs to play around with. And the great thing about these is we can drop these down 0.5 meter and then run them down the line, and these are going to eventually clip into the diagonal sides, so like here. But if you're careful, we can nudge them half inside the wall so they're not noticeable there, and they don't look too distracting on this side, making a nice little glass roof for us. But I'm going to undo. In fact, let's just block it all out a little bit more first before we do that. I think this is about the right height, but we actually want it to come out a touch more. So we'll probably do it out to this line, and then we'll run this all the way along, and then these sections can be straight. And what I'd quite like to do, I'd like to run 1 meter foundations over these little sections, because these are going to be where we have the lighting underneath, and then we can have these sections a touch lower, thinking about it. And this will be, we'll do some kind of different material on the top just to make it stand out a little bit more to our usual builds. We're trying to keep it relatively simple and quick and easy to do, because otherwise I'll be here all day. And we'll do some simple wall on the back side as well. This is starting to become what I had in mind. I'm actually really liking it. We're now going to start doing the ceiling, because, well, I mean, we've already started the ceiling, but I want to add the signs to this, and then also on the underside, because I'm quite frankly getting bored of concreting over at the moment. It's taken me longer than I anticipated. So my plan for the ceiling here is to grab our large billboards. I'm going to have to produce some more oscillators, because obviously they've stopped being produced back at base. Serves me right for not automating the line. What I'm going to do is, rather than light them up, we're going to do the opposite. We're just going to remove any light and have them as this shiny finish. It may be a bit stupid, honestly, given that we don't have that many oscillators, so I'm going to be waiting for them for a while. But I think that's going to look quite nice, and we'll do that the same along here. On top of this, on the underside, I want to do the opposite. We're going to make it super shiny. So if we just grab this here, we will go with something like, I guess, the ceiling light, and we'll turn that all the way up. And we're going to do this for all of these sections along here. The next question though for me would be, do we run it along this section as well? I'm worried that if it's all lit up like this, it might just be a bit too much. But at the same time, though we do have lighting underneath, we've got all of these orange touches and trims, it's quite dark underneath. I suppose it's not too bad with these. Okay, I am out of oscillators, so I'm going to need to produce some more, but I am liking that. I think that will work. The other thing that we could do maybe is, once again, with our little roofing, glass roofing, maybe we could do something along the walkway. just gonna take a fair bit of playing around with and seeing what we come up with. But I do quite like that. As for the inner sections, like maybe just a flat wall, perhaps. I feel it's missing something. I don't know, maybe if we filled this whole section. I'm just not sure whether we should keep this or maybe add a different window to the front. It might look a bit odd. Let's play around with some trimming as well. So I was thinking maybe if we grab the new beams, these round concrete ones, we can run these along the little connections here just to break up the sharpness. Oh, I love that. I really like that. It's just a little touch I wouldn't normally have. And then if we grab these beams, we could try and add a touch of color. I know I'm not great at adding color. Immediately goes for metal, of course I do. We could run something like that across the build. I don't know. I don't dislike the actual design, if I'm honest. I'm just not too keen on, I guess, the copper. I don't think it really works that well given this paint scheme. I quite like that. I think we'd have to fill in maybe these little points. So what I can do now, thanks to nudging, we get them coming out this way. I can then nudge them into the build. If you look close, you'll see a little bit of Z fighting. But we'll try and avoid that. And that just flattens out these little corners. I think that'll look quite good. Just need to try it on the whole build now. You know what I need to do in the next video? Friggin' oscillator plan. I am sick. I'm absolutely sick of trying to fill these out. So I decided to fill all of this in with those wonderful signs. And we've also used a black billboard against the white ones. And then we've got the blue on the inside. And it looks really good, I think. I like to think so, at least. But it's just, I don't have enough oscillators. It's killing me. I cannot keep up with the demand. I guess that's my fault. Also, I've added this nice little window in the center, which is where I guess the atrium to the build is. And I went with filling the bottom with a glass floor, because now we can see where the entrance to the build will be. Still haven't done that. Still need to work on that, but oscillators have been keeping me busy. On the front of the build, I've filled in the sections, but I haven't yet done the extra detailing. And if you're wondering why I'm so frustrated at myself and the oscillators that we're producing, it's because it's all back over here. This is where the whole problem has begun, or just, I guess, never began, because I never fixed it. We have over here a manufacturer that is producing all of our oscillators from the AI limiters, rubber and crystal quartz alternate recipe, which is producing them. It's overclocked, it's slooped as well, so it is producing 9 per minute. But as you just saw, when we're using up 150 odd per line, it's too much to handle. So I need to do maybe the front detailing for a bit and then return to that once they're filled up. Anyway, back to base it is. Finally, the lighting is done. So we have all of the inner lighting and also all of the signs above. And I'm honestly really happy with how the black top ceiling looks. I love the change in the materials. So the next thing that we need to do is sort out the little decor that I have been ignoring all this time. So I did do a little bit more of the decor just on the side, which I'll show you in a moment. But obviously we've not done the oh, balls. I still need to add lights. There's no end. Right, yeah, I need to do that as well. So this is what we've done at the end here, and I quite like how it's similar but also different with the way it's ending. This, I was thinking, would be perfect for if the exit of the train tunnel can come out that side. Speaking of which, the train tunnel, it is perfect. It is literally perfect. We've got 0.5 meter between the light and the actual conveyor. So we should be able to just run it all the way through, providing of course that we missed the bloomin' rock, because that's gonna throw me off as well. Also, totally forgot there's limestone in there. Probably not gonna use that now, unfortunately. But yeah, pretty happy with that. And I do need to cover up this area. We're getting there with something. At this point, it's kind of a second thought because I want the front to look good first and foremost. But I'm pretty happy with the style. It's looking very similar. I don't know what to do here. It's a weird one because we've got that kind of angular break off from the top. And then we've got another angular piece here. I think we're just going to have to remove the straight wall. And here we are after the painstaking detailing on the front. There's only one thing that we've left to do, and that is to actually name this facility. And if you think I'm going to name it anything smart, you can think again. This is going to be called... Can you guess it? Any idea? Here, let me help. We're going to go with... Oh shoot, can I not change the icon? Wait. Ah, there we go. Okay, the game is just playing with me right now. What? Almost there. Ta-da! Did you guess it? So original, I know. Now I did manage to connect this all together with this walkway. I'm sure we'll add a wall eventually for this, but this is bringing us into the facility itself. And then we can see, you wouldn't believe it, there are resources on that line, but you can see the resources if you look hard enough, cycling underneath. And from here, we can take the lift up to wherever you'd like. So we have the lower floor. And obviously we have our iron plates being produced on the right-hand side, and then our iron rods on the left. And I'm really happy with this. I need a different catchphrase. I always say I'm really happy with it. I am genuinely very happy with what we've done. The changes from my builds from when we first started playing to what they are now is light and day. And I am so excited to see what we develop later on. Oh, and one more thing before we leave it there. We have also added another train station, as I said, all the way over there, so that we can hopefully get rid of all these resources now and maintain throughput. And the other thing that I wanted to do was to change the color of these trains, because I feel that we're just not doing a service having all the trains the same color. So we'll change all of the iron trains to red for now. Voila! Speaking of adjustments, I think we're going to need to expand on the facility down here. Start using all of these for iron, because we're definitely throttling our belts in the iron smeltery. But if we're also going to be producing steel ingots with iron, then we're going to need to be producing as many iron ingots as possible. So we're going to have to get rid of any throttling that's happening. That'll come down to us reworking the logistics system, or making tweaks to it, I should say. But knowing that the throughput on the output side is going to be kept up with now means I can rest well tonight. So guys, we will leave it there, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you liked the breakdown of the compressor, which just looks amazing, if you ask me there. Although we do need to find out what the issue is. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that, hopefully in the next episode. But this has been a pretty fun build to do, and it's awesome to know that we're going to be doing steel now. hopefully we have enough room. Or enough iron, actually, thinking about it. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to all of our incredible supporters on Patreon who make content like this happen. And if you are interested in becoming a member on Patreon, you can get access to all of our blueprints as well as this save if you want to tour it yourself. But special thanks as always goes to our Lunar Eclipse patrons, Firefless, The Calamity, Ben and Star, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Dr. Shotgun. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.